Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so the Los Angeles Lakers went down 114-99 against the Minnesota Timberwolves in Las Vegas for the preseason game. And try to gather my thoughts about what I saw. It was a preseason game, it's not nothing you want to go too far about. Obviously, we're 0-3, so you're starting to get a little frustrated. You want to see success, but you understand you didn't play any of your vets tonight, and you only lost by a couple of points, and you ended up having, well, you lost by what? Not a couple of points, but you did lose substantially. But overall, you had a 9 point lead at one point in the game, and really you had a bunch of looks that you liked for the most part. We just did not hit them. I think the real thing tonight, I don't know if you want to call it an issue, because nothing in the preseason that I think is a problem at all. If we try stuff of any kind, it's just something we've seen. Now, once we start carrying over what we've done that didn't work into the regular season, then we start having problems. But this is just data, as far as I can tell. We tried to see what we look like when we don't have our stars on the floor, and attempt to shoot a lot of 3 point shots. 11 for 49. I can live without that. I have to adjust my thinking because we are not last year's team. So last year's team, that's horrific. But we don't know who this team is. We've got brand new players on this team. For all I know, this team shoots an average of 49 threes, as to which that's going to be something we will establish an understanding for. So that's really what it's about. We don't know who we are yet, so maybe this is par for the course. Maybe this is something we never want to see again. I don't know. But I will say that the shot selection tonight is going to leave a lot for the coaches to do. There's a lot of coaching that's going to be needed for these young players. Some of the guys that we have out there, they force the issue and you love the aggressiveness, but the efficiency is going to be a problem. Cole Swider, Walker, Pippen, they all need to be more efficient if they're going to make it on this team. Simply plain. I like the fact that this offense allows for a lot of offensive attempts, though. And like I said, our guys are aggressive. We don't have bashful basketball players, so that's very, very good. But it was hard to watch tonight with all that clanking, man. It was too much clanking going on, and that's just what it was. I will say I love the effort, though. It's the third game in a row where I can say nobody cheated me in effort. Sometimes guys are doing too much, but not too little, and that's very important. I think we can rebound the ball a lot better. There has to be an emphasis on that, as we've mentioned in the past. I just don't think that this team has any issue getting better with the type of player prototypes that we have in terms of rebounding. We got the bodies. We just got to get better. So I'm a bit concerned because Juan Toscano Anderson went down with I believe it was a knee contusion. So hopefully we won't get anything worse on that. But that is a bad loss. He is a very, very helpful player for us thus far through a couple games. You never want to hear about injuries, but you definitely don't want to hear about them in the preseason. But nevertheless, guys are playing hard, and that's really what we're dealing with. So more power to us, man. I just hope we can stay healthy. Thomas Bryant was excellent out there. His effort getting to the line stands out. I do wonder about him, though. As I said in the halftime video, I just don't know if we can keep him healthy because of how he falls all over the floor and throws his body around. I just want him to be a bit more cautious about how he falls. He took some hard tumbles tonight. I'm pretty sure that's probably his regular game, but he does want to stay active in the league and play as many games as possible. And the way he falls, he's gonna hurt himself. It's a matter of when. So I'm a bit concerned about him. I feel the same way about Austin Reeves too. We've talked about that in the past. He throws his body around a lot, and guys like that, it's gonna wear down on them. It's too many basketball games to play to be throwing yourself around like that 4 or 5, 6 times a night. You gotta let some of that go. And I know some people be like, "Oh, you can't take plays off, this, that, and the third." It's not about taking plays off. It's just about making sure that you're not taking punishment, unnecessary punishment. You can't win battles with the ground, so you got to limit those. So that's just where I stand on that. I worry about some of the players we have out there in terms of how they fall and how they play. They play hard, they hustle hard, but uh, it just leaves room for a lot of health concerns. So that's what I will say. Overall, we still have so many other players that we have yet to see, which is kind of concerning to me, to be honest. Um, it's too many players we have yet to see. Still, Dennis Schroeder, who's going to be a big part of what we do. He hasn't stepped on the floor yet. I have yet to see Troy Brown step on the floor for us. Um, so this is just an interesting situation. Now, obviously, well, maybe not so obvious because we haven't talked about this, but cuts will be coming very soon. And from what the announcers said, it's going to be between Dwayne Bacon and Matt Ryan right now. Now, if you ask me, through 3 games, I would probably give the nod to Ryan, simply out of necessity more than anything else. He's a pure shooter, and that's exactly what the Lakers need more of. Dwayne Bacon impressed me yet in yesterday's game, and tonight's game I didn't think that he played very well. So I can't imagine that we know enough just from watching these preseason games. Obviously, they're going to go by more than that when they determine who to keep and who not to. But for my eyesight, it's probably just going to go to Matt Ryan. We need the shooting, man. Simply put. So I think Dwayne Bacon has been good for us, though. I like some of the playmaking he did down there. He made some good plays. He also did some things down there I thought kind of hurt himself mechanically, but nothing that would make me say, "Oh my God, he's just a horrible player." Just a few things that just let me understand what his limitations will be. But at the end of the day, he's a nice player, but the Lakers have specific needs. So if I'm making the cut, it has to be him, unfortunately. But there will be more cuts, so we will see what happens from here. And of course, there's a G League for guys to develop in and stick around with our organization as well. So just because a guy doesn't stay with the big team does not mean that he's not going to stick around this league. So that's something that I'm just anticipating very soon, and I could be very wrong. So we'll check it out and see what happens there. Austin Reeves didn't play as much tonight. I don't think I saw him much in the second half, which I was very pleased with because he played very well last night, and I just don't believe in having back-to-backs in the preseason. So a lot of the guys that we saw last night, I was hopeful we wouldn't see tonight, and that is exactly what Coach kind of limited. A lot of guys that only got minimum minutes yesterday played a lot tonight. We saw Huff more so tonight. Finally, he got on the floor. And it was early. It's so early in these guys' tenures that you couldn't get a whole lot established there. But he was helpful with his length, making good plays. I don't think he hurt his team at all. I saw good things happening out there with him rebounding the ball. And so I just think with more practice time, he's the type of player who's going to really help us. I think it's important to point out that he is a three-point shooter, and I have yet to see him attempt a three-point shot. So I don't want that to get lost in what it is we're trying to accomplish. He profiles as a shooter, and I remember that from when we drafted him. So this is not me talking about something that I've done recent homework on. I'm going by, what was it, a year ago, 2 years ago when we first picked him up, stretch 5. So definitely get him out there shooting the ball, and we can utilize that. What else, man? So far, so good, man. I like the team. Scottie Pippen, even though the efficiency wasn't there, 3 steals on the night. I love what I see there. He gets very timely steals. You catch you try slipping around him, don't have your dribble on point, he's going to come by. He's going to take that from you. It's just like his pops in that way. Very savvy. And so even when the shot isn't falling, he's still finding ways to help us. And I like that he's been able to hit more threes than I expected him to hit. That was one of the things that I scouted and was concerned about when doing homework on him. His three-point rhythm was off at that time, but he shot it pretty solid in this preseason, and I, have always enjoyed his aggressiveness and his playmaking. So that's a player that's going to continue to help us, and he has a real knack for finding the open man. So yeah, that was also something that stood out. The Los Angeles Lakers just really allowed the shooters to shoot tonight. We really didn't give too much of a thought to, uh, focusing on the bigs or anything like that. We just let the shooters shoot. And unfortunately, that did not lead to a whole lot of success in the second half because none of those shots were falling. They weren't really falling in the first half, but at least with Thomas Bryant's activity, Juan Toscano Anderson out there, Wenyen Gabriel out there, we know those were things that worked for us. Unfortunately, after Juan went down, we kind of got away from some of those other things and just, as I said, focused on those shooters. And as I told you in the last game, with Cole Swider struggling, I just wanted us to continue to let him struggle. This is exactly what I wanted Darvin Ham to do. Focus on him, let him get all that out, work the guys that we saw yesterday that kind of impressed us, Bacon and Ryan, work them like crazy. Because if they're going to give us this back-to-back nonsense, do not put your stars out there to try to run themselves around for meaningless basketball. That made no sense to me. And I'm loving exactly what Darvin Ham did tonight. I wouldn't have did anything different. And not only that, but as bad as Cole Swider looked shooting the ball, by the end of the night, his rhythm had actually come around. A couple of his shots had fallen, and I think that will carry over into the next game. He will not shoot as poorly as he did. It's been jitters, man. I'm telling you, as I said in the previous video, he just looked nervous. Nervous as all hell. Shots weren't falling, and then it got in his head, and his confidence waned, and it really got in his head, and it went from there. But at that point, you just have to remember who you are as a shooter. Go into the locker room, like I said, get a stretch going for yourself, something like that. Come back out and continue to take the same shots that you were taking, and just remember that it's not about whether or not they fall or not. It's just whether or not you took them in rhythm within the course of what it is you're supposed to be doing. And if that's the case, they'll eventually fall, but it's not about necessarily forcing shots, and that's what he started doing for a little while there. So coach left him out there. Didn't lose any faith in him, which was something I was waiting to see if he would do. A lot of times rookie coaches tend to lose faith in players who are struggling. They worry about their own reputation when they leave players out there. But I think the reputation you want is somebody who has a long rope for young players, because young players struggle. And you can't be someone who overreacts and ends up snuffing out their confidence because of it. So Darvin Ham is pushing all the right buttons from where I'm sitting. And I think he's instilling confidence in guys early through their struggles that will pay dividends later on when he asks them to do things, particularly things that they may not want to do. And so this is how you gain the respect and trust that he's getting, that you see him having all around the league. This is how he gets it in little subtle ways. And so I'm paying attention, and I'm very impressed. So the victories haven't come yet, but that is skewed by the fact that we have controlled these games based on the fact that we have used things that we wanted to do, and they have resulted in the way that we thought they would. If we would have put AD Braun on the floor, Beverly and all those guys, we would have got the victory because we would have done things to help ourselves. We weren't trying to do that. We were letting guys who were struggling work those struggles out and giving ourselves as much data as possible to learn about those players. So that's what we did, man. I like it. Don't worry about the success or the failure of it all. Just understand that we're gathering what we need to learn about our young players, and we will establish a bench because of it. So that's what it is. That is just simply the issue. Establishing our second unit. Boy, has it been a struggle through this preseason, but I think we're doing everything we need to do to gather what we need. Now, going forward, obviously there will be more preseason games coming up. I don't remember who we play. I don't want to guess. I'm just going to leave it alone, but I know the Lakers will be playing very soon. It'll be a consistent type of thing, so I think it's every other game from here. I won't guess. But I know that when we do play again, we will have information here for you, more videos, of course, more content and all of that. So, yeah, that's pretty much my thought in regards to the game. I'm pretty sure there's more I want to say. It's a short video, but all in all, it wasn't something you want to keep as a fan in your mind. You know what I mean? It's a preseason game that wasn't that much fun to watch. I was encouraged by just the overall style of offense that we're continuing to try to run. Um, but I also understand that we weren't trying to relieve and exploit it. So I'm okay with how the night went. It's just good to have Laker basketball back, period. And when you understand what you're looking at, you really temper expectations and you don't have bad feelings about it. When I was a kid, we're losing preseason games. And even more so last year with Frank Vogel, it was like you could clearly see that the team wasn't running things that would otherwise help them in any way, shape, or form. You couldn't see a plan formulating that would be worth looking at. And so that was the issue last year in the preseason. It was like we need to win because it was not a whole lot to succeed, to kind of be pleased with. We needed a moral victory. That's not how I feel about this, because I know at any point in time we could have won any one of these games. This is that simple. And because you can tell that we control these games in the way that we do, I think we're going to be a dangerous team in the regular season, But the problem is, if you don't see the success, it's just hypothetical. So we're going to have to get us a victory in the summer league, And I think the next game, I think the Lakers will be intent on doing so, just like they were in the last game. So we'll see. We'll see. All in all, it's all an experimental process, working this preseason, and I think guys are getting better. Max Christie is the guy that's really impressed me from game to game over these last 2 days. Just seeing how his decision making is going and the poise that he's playing with, the shot selection, choosing to use the mid-range jumper. I like that about his game. I like that he's not afraid to take the 20-foot jumper, because I do think that it's a lost art in the NBA. And I look at certain players who take advantage of it, and they're fantastic. Players like Chris Paul. I think a guy like Jalen Brunson should be mentioned, even though he stays a little closer inside. It's still a tweener type of area where he's not shooting a three and it's not quite a dunk level layup area. Anyone that wants to take advantage of that, DeMar DeRozan, you're going to be able to catch the modern era defense off guard because they're not normally looking for that shot. CJ McCollum, they're not looking for it. 9 out of 10 times, a guy is shooting a three or he's trying to drive down the lane to dunk the ball. But when you're a guy like Max Christie, who has the length to shoot over people, and you are a threat to dunk on people, and you do have the ability to stretch the floor, if you're not afraid to pull up mid-stride and hit a mid-range jumper like B.I. Or KD, you can open up things for your game that a lot of guys just simply will not have. He hit that shot tonight twice over outstretched arms, and I'm not mad at it. So that's what I want to say about Max Christie. He popped off the screen tonight for me, and he's showing me exactly what type of upside he really has. And it's a whole lot of teams that messed up not drafting him. That much I have figured out over the last couple games. So yeah, excited about his future, man. He's headed somewhere. He's not gonna just be a nice little role player forever. That dude has some real good intangibles that you're already seeing in his preseason rookie season. So him and Scottie Pippen, pretty much all these guys are showing a lot of upside, and I'm excited about them. Yeah, so that's really what it is, man. Very, very pleased with everything. Hopeful that the Lakers can just finally be able to see some fruit in all of the effort that they're putting out there. Guys like Thomas Bryant throwing their body around, they deserve to see a victory at this point, so hopefully we can get us one. But we're not playing our stars, and these other teams are, and that's very important. Anthony Edwards was out there, Rudy Gobert was out there, had to deal with those guys. There were some players on the Minnesota Timberwolves that deserve to be mentioned. I wish their names would stick out in my head, but they got a forward over there who was really lighting things up. They got some guys, man. Jordan Noel is over there. Slow Mo's now over there. Nas Reed was balling. They just really put on a nice show for themselves. D'Angelo Russell was out there. It was good seeing him run around. So, it's a good team they got over there in Minnesota. You have to deal with them. Jaden McDaniels is the player that I could not remember earlier when I was speaking about this team. but I knew they had a player that could really rebound and defend and do a lot of things for them. Jaden McDaniels. He can make a huge jump, man. There's a role for him on this team, and with the experience that he has carried over from the previous years, it's an opportunity. It's a real opportunity for Jaden McDaniels to take a serious jump in this league. Um, he's already showed us that he's a talented player. That's already been established. And with all of the different weapons that this team has, he's going to have open looks. He's going to be left alone. So keep an eye on him. That team is dangerous. So yeah, that's what I got to say, man. That is pretty much the thought there. I think I'll leave it at that. I'm pretty sure there'll be more to say about this. If there is, obviously I'll turn back on the camera and give it all to you. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.